gavel of the auctioneer struck the podium, and the people in the room roared with disappointment. The bidding war was intense. Almost everyone bid, and they tried to up the price until there were only 3 bidders. My eyes darted to the girl in the cat mask, to the guy with the top hat, to the woman with jewelry. It was like watching an intense game of tennis, except it was 3 people raising their paddles in quick succession. 500, 525, 550, 562. The price kept going up. And then, the room went quiet. It got so tense as the 3 remaining bidders eyed each other and sized each other up. $562 going once, going twice.
$570.
The girl in the cat mask stood up as well and yelled.
$580.
$590.
The old woman and the girl in the cat mask alternated again, their paddles long forgotten as they shouted the price they were willing to pay. That was until the old woman threw her paddle down and announced,
$1 million.
A hush fell across the room. You'd have to be crazy to try and beat someone that determined to win. So in defeat, the girl in the cat mask slumped down on her seat, clearly disappointed even though nobody could see her face. $1 million going once, going twice, sold to the lady with great taste in jewelry. You may collect your purchase at the stage, madam. The auctioneer unlocked the cuffs on my wrist and he presented me to the woman who bought me for $1 million. Hi, I'm Tyler, and this is my story. Mom, Dad, please, why are you doing this to me? Please, anyone, somebody, please help me. I screamed and begged, but my cries fell on deaf ears. Why were people just standing by while a literal, actual person was being sold in front of them? And my very own parents couldn't care less. All they've ever cared about was money. And now was no different. In desperation, I pushed the auctioneer just as he released me. I shoved past the old lady and made a run for it. People gasped in shock, and I dodged and waved through the people who tried to stop me. I was so close to freedom. The front doors were only a few feet away. Someone grabbed me from behind, and I kicked them off. Another guard tried to block my way, but I slid under him and rolled until I finally found my destination. I pulled at the door handles, and nothing happened. I pulled at them again, but they didn't budge. I heard someone giggle behind me, and it was the old woman.
Very rude of you to shove an old lady now, isn't it? You silly boy. They lock the doors in these black market auctions, you know. Now, are you coming with me, or am I gonna have to tie you up?
I had no choice. I followed her out, and as we walked away, I saw my parents congratulating each other as if they'd done something good. My parents have always been horrible with money. But whenever they had it, they'd spend it as if they were millionaires. Of course they got into a lot of debt. Somehow they convinced a bank to loan them $100,000. It was my dad's idea. Another one of his get-rich-quick schemes. Of course it didn't work. In fact, it even got them deeper into debt. Banks were breathing down their necks. We were about to lose our home. So my dad did what he did best. He went to his shady friends, had me signed up for the auction.
Hey,
it was all going to be a ruse.
Said the guy who got off
Mom
the
and Dad
yellow
told me they
Lambo
would never
and
let them
immediately
take me
tossed me his
away.
keys.
But as the old lady's guards hauled me off, they just laughed and made a toast. Dad even winked at me as if to say, "So long, gullible loser." Mrs. Johnson was strict, but she was kind. At least she gave me an allowance. The only reason she was intent on getting me was because her one and only granddaughter was on the phone with her and wanted me. And whatever Megan wanted, Megan got. If Mrs. Johnson was extra kind and generous, her granddaughter was the exact opposite. Megan was spoiled, selfish, and mean as all hell. She orders me around and doesn't even treat me like I'm human. I don't mind doing chores for her, but she made things difficult. She would cut the wires to the vacuum. She would make messes in the kitchen just so she could give me more stuff to do. One time she butchered her grandmother's prized roses and told her it was my doing. Mrs. Johnson cut my allowance because of that. Megan quickly became my archenemy. My job was to take care of her, but she made it impossible. So I decided I would fight back. When she put salt in my coffee, I shrunk her clothes in the washing machine. When she humiliated me in front of her friends and made me get on all fours so she could use me as a footstool, I burned all of her favorite magazines. And when she put a tarantula in my bed, I replaced her conditioner with green hair dye. All of our fighting reached Mrs. Johnson, and it pushed her to threaten to throw me out. If I could escape being in the same house with Megan, I was up for it. So I upped my misbehaving. Unfortunately, Megan had other ideas. That whole time, me fighting back made Megan want me. She said she's never had anyone fight back. Because she was so rich, everyone around her just did what she wanted. And when she found someone who talked back to her, it made her love me. I, of course, wanted no part of that. I despised her. But there was nothing I could do. Soon Megan demanded that I marry her. She begged her grandma to arrange everything. And, of course, Megan got what she wanted again. The only condition that Mrs. Johnson set for Megan was that she should get my parents' consent, and that was my last hope. I hated them, but I had no other choice. I called my parents. I begged them to rescue me. If they could do something so wrong and illegal as selling their own son, they could break me out, right? At the very least, they could at least tell Megan no. Wrong. Not only did they decline my plea, they encouraged me to marry her. Son, do you hear yourself?
This is heaven sent! If you marry her, you will legally be part of their family. All it takes is one tiny dose of poison in that old woman's coffee, and you'll be a multimillionaire.
I am not poisoning an old woman for money. Oh, you're gonna do it, son. Even if I have to do it for you. You will marry that brat, and when her grandma dies, money will rain down on us.
Think of us. Think of what you'd be doing for your family. We could pay back all our debt. But first, I want a trip to Cabo.
And I want a monster truck.
So it's decided. You're marrying the girl. We're going to give her our consent. I can't wait to be a millionaire.
If no one was going to help me, I was going to help myself. All those months living there, I knew exactly how the security system worked. I knew where the guards would be during what time of the night, and I knew they liked their hot cocoa. So that night, I made a huge batch, and I laced it with laxatives. As soon as they made a run for the toilets, I made my escape. I pushed my car out of the driveway, and as soon as I got to the street, I drove like my life depended on it, and it did. I must have driven an hour, but I still couldn't find my way back home. And then I heard a strange sound coming from the trunk. I hit the brakes and ran to the back. And when I popped the trunk, I stumbled back in shock. She screamed, and then I screamed. There was a ghost in my trunk. Jenna? What in the heck are you doing in the back of my car?
I'm so sorry. They kept me locked up. And I've been watching you. I knew you were going to make a run for it, so I hid in your car and I must have fallen asleep. Please help me.
Locked you up? Wait. Are you saying when you disappeared, we all thought you were dead? Your parents had a memorial.
It was her. We went to the same party wearing the same dress and she had me kidnapped. And punished.
Who does that?
She's a psycho.
I knew then I had to be as far from Megan as possible. If that was all Jenna did to get herself locked up at Megan's house, what would she do to me if she found out I escaped? I took her to my old dorm. She wouldn't stop crying. I tried to comfort her, but she just missed her family so much. We couldn't let people know where we were. We had to lay low. I tried to explain it to her, but she just wanted to go home. That was when the door burst open and my parents walked in. What the? How did you find me?
I put a tracker on your phone. Your fiancé called us in a panic. Said you were a runner. What the hell were you thinking? You're throwing away millions.
My parents took me back to Megan. And because she was scared I'd run again, she pushed our wedding up. She even forced Jenna to be one of the bridesmaids so she could keep an eye on her. But her plan backfired. Because before the wedding could even begin, someone burst through the church doors. It was my childhood crush.
Stop the wedding! This woman is holding this man hostage. Officers, arrest her.
Haley? What are you doing here?
You didn't think I'd let her just have you, did you? Megan has always had a crush on you. And she kept stopping me from trying to tell you my feelings. I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I tried to stop her grandma at the auction, but I didn't have enough money.
The girl in the cat mask. The police arrested Megan, her grandma, and my parents. They were sentenced to 20 years for participating in the sale of people. Haley and Jenna fought over me. One had a hidden crush on me, the other loved me because I rescued her. In the end, we just ended up living together, and we were all finally free of Megan.
Please don't forget to share this podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Thanks for your support. Check out our YouTube channel by clicking the link in this episode description. And also, kindly please rate and review this podcast. Bye.